had a lot of concerns as well. And this is just, we hung out after work and just having fun, having dinner, and they would tell me just weird things like, "Oh yeah, they're watching our every move. They're watching what we do on our phones. They're making sure we don't go off script, or else they'll fire us, they'll threaten us, and this and that." And I was like, "Wow, that's very hostile. Do you guys, maybe you guys should bring that up to management." And then they would laugh at me and tell me, "No, you don't bring anything up to management because that's how you get fired." So they started telling me a little bit more about, the involvement of government as well. This is the thing that surprised me the most. I, the government, big pharma, media, tech, they're the same people, guys. I'm sure all of you guys know that by now, but the government pretty much will go to Pfizer or Moderna or J&J. This is, I'm sure you guys could already guess, but they pretty much tell you, hey, sell this X drug, do this amount by however
So
many
Debbie,
weeks.
you were talking about what happened to you as a result of the story that was published,
Okay.
because you were one of the two insiders that I'm aware of that provided, and again, we're speaking to Debbie Bernal, an insider at Pfizer, who provided information to me and who went on stage with me 10 days ago and is now telling her story, and we're on some new information here. People are very interested to hear from you. Was there a story published today that you had something to do with?
So these documents that they posted, they were not supposed to ever get posted. And if they were supposed to get posted, I don't understand why
Who
they were
posted what?
posted.
Who posted what?
So here, let me pull it up. So I believe Project Veritas posted some documents about myocarditis and how they were well aware that it was a side effect, and it was, I believe, in 2022. Now, this would have been a great story for when we did the interview, James, right? And, it could have been a great interview. It would have been great. It would have been detailed. We would have had, everything we needed right in front of us. But like I said, something felt off. I felt like I was threatened. I was being recorded, as they thought I didn't notice, but I was definitely being recorded. So I couldn't come out and, talk about this myself, unfortunately. But now that it's out there, yeah, myocarditis, pericarditis, it's they knew. They knew. Um, and they only, I think they admitted it when you released the video, James, of the Jordan Walker. So when that happened, you released that video the next morning. I was just curious, to be honest, to see if he was still employed. And, I just went on Teams and just looked him up just to see if he was online and see if he was still working, and he was. But 3 hours later, I was in a meeting, I was in a conference room, and someone starts, standing outside my door, and she just walks in and she tells me, "You need to get off the meeting. You need to answer. Someone's trying to reach you right now." And I look at her and I tell her, "I'm in a meeting right now." She tells me, "You need to get off that meeting." I'm like, "Okay, this is weird." So I go back to my cubicle. I answer the phone. It's the Pfizer relationship manager or whatever for my company. And they told me, "Hey, your contract with Pfizer is being terminated today. They're going to ask you for your badge and your laptop, so just give it back to them." And I ask him, "Well, what's going on? Like, what happened? Why is this happening? You want to give me a reason?" And he's like, "No, don't worry about it. Just finish your day, finish your work, and then just turn everything in." I'm like, "Okay." Get off the phone. The security person, asked me for the badge, the laptop. I give it to her. And she asked me to follow her back to just follow her. And then she takes me to this locked security room. She has to enter a code. And I walk in and I'm like, okay, I know what's going on. This is going to be an interrogation. So she starts asking me, she's like, have you turned everything in? Everything that belongs to Pfizer. I'm like, yeah, you just took my badge and my laptop. And then she asks me, well, what about on your computer laptop or your phone? Do you have anything that belongs to Pfizer? And I said, well, I'm a consultant for you guys, so my responsibility is to make deliverables for you guys. It's my responsibility to make stuff for you guys. So yeah, there's probably on my work laptop stuff that belongs to you guys. And she goes, what about anything that could compromise someone's like identity? Were you looking anybody up? And I was like, why? Is there someone that you guys don't want me looking up? And she didn't answer. And then she starts asking me for my personal phone. Can I look over your phone? And I looked at her and I was like, do you want to look through my private phone? And she goes, yeah, it's a company procedure to ask for Pfizer employees who are leaving that we look through their phone. And I called her out. I was like, you are lying to me. This is my personal phone. I'm not giving it to you. And I pretty much just start pulling the, you know what, ma'am, if you don't tell me what this is about, I'm going to need a lawyer. Or, you know what, if you want to keep asking me questions, would you mind if I started recording this conversation for my lawyer in the future? Then she got a little worried. I don't think she expected me to say that. I think she just expected me to be dumb and hand over my phone and just let her look through it. Oh, I forgot to mention, she then asked me, would you mind leaving your cell phone here at the facility overnight? And I was like, no, can I please leave? Like, I'm not going to give you my phone. I'm not going to give you my laptop either. I want to leave. Can I leave? And then she says, let me go ask. So she gets up, leaves me in the room. I'm freaking out. I want to cry. I'm shaking. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, okay, this interrogation is the least of my concerns. I'm just concerned for my family at this point and my safety and whatnot. I'm like, okay. And then,
And just so we're aware, I just want to, I feel like the radio host that has to say what time it is. We're listening to Debbie Bernal from Pfizer. She's in the middle of a story about her journey to become a Pfizer whistleblower. Um, she's for those of you who've just joined, a few hundred people have joined. So you're hearing her live tell the world things that they've never heard before. This is citizen journalism in action. And just the point in her journey where after corroborating or obtaining this, helping obtain the story on Walker, the guy who said he was mutating the virus, she's now being interrogated by corporate, and she's in the room there. So Debbie, keep telling your story.
yeah, so I essentially tell her to kick rocks. I'm not handing you over my private phone. And so she leaves me in the room. I'm on the phone at this point uh, with my manager. She's asking me, well, were you looking at any financials? I'm like, no, not at all. Were you looking at, what were you looking at? Who were you talking to? This and that. And my manager wouldn't tell me, well, what are they specifically holding me here for? Because I don't know. I just want to leave. I just want to, go back to my hotel room because this is scary. First of all, like, why am I being held against my will? I already handed in my laptop, I already handed in my badge, and you guys aren't telling me why you guys are holding me in there. So eventually she comes back, she opens the door, and then she says, okay, you can leave. And I'm like, okay. And then I get up and I walk outside the room, and then I see my personal belongings scattered. My backpack is opened, and all my stuff is scattered on this bench. And even like there was some stuff that was on the floor too, that fell from the bench, I assume. And I look at it and I look at her and I ask her, did you just touch my personal stuff without my permission? And she goes, I went to go grab your stuff. I look at her and I'm pretty upset. I look at her and I tell her, you do not touch my personal stuff without my permission. You like, what's going on here? And she's just like, kind of shrugs it off. And then I ask her for her name. I ask her, what's your position and what's your first and last name? And she gives it to me and I write it down. And then I just go back to my car, and now the IT guy who was working there, I feel so bad for him. Um, he observed all this, and he calls me after, like, I go back to my rental, and I pick up the phone because he's calling me. He's like, what's going on? What happened? And then I didn't want to get him in trouble or involved, because he's just there to work. He's just doing his job. He had nothing to do with anything. And I just told him, hey, I don't know. I think it's because we were, we saw that Project Veritas video, and it was on on their Wi-Fi or whatever. So they probably just don't, like it that we're watching that video after it came out. And he's like, oh, well, I'm sorry. Our time together got cut short. I hope good luck. And I'm like, okay. And then I get a message from him like a week later telling me that he got fired, and that apparently they've been interrogating him too every day ever since I left, about me, asking what I've been doing there and this and that. I didn't ask him specifically what they asked about me, but he told me that they were interrogating and kept asking about me and what I was doing. And he didn't know, so obviously he said, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't have, I don't have a clue. And then they just said, all right, you're out. They fired him. And the poor guy, like, he's from Nigeria. He was a really smart guy, and he lost his job over this, and he had nothing to do with it. So it just goes to show, you know, I thought that was pretty evil. And then I drive home. I'm pretty disappointed that, you know, I pretty much know I'm fired at this point. I get back to my hotel. I try to log on to my Teams account to, let my manager know what happened. I'm logged out. They completely logged me out of my Teams account. They locked me out of my computer. So I'm like, okay, I know what this means. So I just sleep over at the hotel, and then the next
Now, no,
morning,
Debbie, at this point in time in your journey, how many days was it after that story broke? A week? Like, where are we on the calendar? Because the story broke January 25th.
it is literally January 26th, like the morning of, the morning of.
Okay, and for everyone, I'm James O'Keefe. You're listening to Debbie Bernal, one of two Pfizer insiders responsible for the big Pfizer bombshell. And she is explaining now that she's been locked out of her accounts. It's January 26th. Debbie, continue.
Yeah, so I go home. I don't really know what to tell my parents because I don't want to get them involved at all, so I just don't say anything. It's early in the morning, it's like 8 or something, and then I get a call from my company, and it's a lawyer, a corporate lawyer, and I think a human relations or public relations, I'm not sure, employer relations person. And they pretty much told me, hey, we heard about the situation with the client Pfizer, and we just need to investigate what happened. Can you run through your day with us? And I tell them, well, yeah, I woke up, I went to the facility, and I was working, and then I was interrogated and, placed in a locked room, and had my stuff scattered, looked through, searched, and scattered all over. And yeah, and now you guys are asking me to tell you what happened. Why don't you guys tell me what's going on so we can talk about this a little more, and how your client is treating your employees? Like, are you guys gonna really let this slide? Are you guys gonna let them treat your employees like that? I thought you guys cared about your employees, since you guys preached about, oh, we care about the culture. Oh, we care about our employees, especially our Latinxes and our minorities and our women. Uh, that's a bunch of crap. Like, I'm just, they pretend, I think it's so woke. They've destroyed business, honestly. And they're pretty much saying, well, it's your opinion that you think that we're siding with the client, but we really just want you to cooperate in this and that. And I pretty much tell them, I'm not going to cooperate with you guys because you guys clearly don't care about your employees. You guys just care about securing your multi-million-dollar deals with, giant corporations such as, this one. Um, and they asked me if I knew Jordan Walker. And I told them no, that I did not personally know Jordan Walker. And then they asked me if I knew about,
And
they called,
Debbie, Jordan Walker is the guy in the video that viewed
yes,
50 million times that
yes.
you helped. How would you characterize it? Corroborate?
Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna be careful with words here. Jordan, pretty much people were saying that Jordan Walker wasn't who he was saying he was, or that you were lying, James. They were trying to accuse you of lying. And I don't like it when people get gaslit. I don't like it when people lie or try to minimize a story that I know is true. So that's all I'm going to say. But yeah, they asked me if I even looked him up. And I said, was I not supposed to look him up? And they didn't answer me that. And then they asked me if I knew of a veritas. And I told them I don't know what a veritas is. I think that's Latin for truth. And pretty much I just told them to kick rocks at this point. I was like, I'm not going to talk to you guys without a lawyer. And then they asked me, oh, here's the thing. They asked me, well, where are you right now? Are you still at your hotel room? I'm like, no. And then they're looking at, I guess, their screens, and they asked me, are you at this address? And I'm like, I might be, I might not be. And they're like, okay, well, someone's coming to your house in 20 minutes. And I'm like, what? 20 minutes? And they're, who is coming? Who is coming? What for? What's going on? And they're like, they're coming. And by the way, give the man your laptop.
Who's saying this to you? What,
I'm a, yeah, my company, but I'm assuming that
which
this
company? What are you talking about?
the consulting firm that I work for.
The consulting firm
Yeah,
for Pfizer
yeah.
is sending someone to your home.
Yeah, and their excuse, this was their excuse. I think they were just trying to minimize it. We need to pick up your laptop. And I asked them, I was like, don't you guys normally send in a box that you know, with like foam in it so you can, you know, turn in the laptop and it doesn't get damaged? What, like, who sends a person to your
What day
house?
is this? Is this January
This is
27th?
this is the day out. Yes, yes. So the video came out the 25th. 26th is the interrogation, and then 27th the guy is being sent to my house.
Well, on the night of the 26th, he's smashing the iPad in the Brooklyn pizzeria.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
so they're sending people to your home, and just sort of like move through the timeline here to present day, because I guess you called me today, or you called me um, after CPAC, and you were upset. So just sort of take the journey, because you fast forward to like sort of CPAC, we reconnect. I get thrown out of the organization I founded. Just sort of tell that story briefly, and then take us to present day.
Okay, yeah. So essentially I get fired, or I know I'm getting fired, and I'm pretty much just, oh, it was devastating. I As soon as he said someone's coming for you, I my heart dropped. So I took my mom somewhere so I could just get out of the house because I was like, I don't know what they're gonna do to me. And I didn't want them to do anything to my mom either. She's like a can't she survived cancer, like terminal cancer. God is good. She survived cancer, and I don't want to lose her again, you know. And I'm like, Mom, we have to go. She's like, what's going on? I was like, Mom, no, come on. I'm gonna take you to the doctor. Like, come on, let me take you, please. And then I get a message from my dad, who just happened to go home at that time, and he tells me, "Hey, there's a red van parked outside our house, and he's not leaving." And I tell him, I'm like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah. Should I tell this guy to go away?" And I tell him, it's just if you need to, yeah, tell him that he needs to leave." Okay, so I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Pretty much eventually he just leaves. I think he knocked on the door, whatever, he leaves. And I'm gonna fast forward, or I try to contact, you know, to get some help at this point, and I'm being assured here that, oh, you'll be okay. We've got your back. We'll take care of you. You know, your identity is gonna be protected. This and that. And then let's fast forward to today, um, where I just see something that I was promised that wasn't going to be revealed or um, shared, and that
What are you talking about?
Shared by
Project Veritas, yeah. And to me, it was odd because, you know, that was, you know, a story that could have been shared a while ago. If they, you know, if they were gonna break their code of ethics or whatever and screw me over. They could have done it earlier, I guess, but I just
Are
find
you
it a
saying,
little weird.
um you're the source of those, of that, or what do you mean?
Well, again, I'm going to be careful with my words, but I was the I picked the coffee beans. So they were my coffee beans. And they were my coffee beans to share, if that makes sense. And I, was hoping that these coffee beans would be shared at the right time if I had decided to, keep going with it. But like I said, in Nashville, I felt something was off and I just did not go with it. And but I was assured that these coffee beans would not be shared, but they were anyway, just recently. And it's weird because they promised me that they wouldn't. But
And as a result here, it seems like you've decided to break your own news here. So again, just kind of walk us through, I guess, what have you done? What have you posted here, and why?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm gonna be careful with my words. So because I was an employee, there was things that I saw, and there was some coffee beans that I found and that I went to share with James, and we had talked about it. There was a story building up about these companies knowing that myocarditis was a side effect. And I remember people getting censored on social media, me included, if you even mentioned anything about this vaccine causing heart problems or people falling down or people getting myocarditis, and that young males are the ones affected the most by it. So this information was given to James, and James, promised. I trusted James, and I still do. And then I guess it just got into the wrong hands when he was ousted, and I guess they try to take credit for it, and that's fine. I guess I'm just praying for them. I hope they change their ways and they, protect future whistleblowers, because you you work at this company, you see things that are bad, that are detrimental to someone's safety, and you want to do good. You want to help someone, you want to help the world, you want to save people's lives, right? And you're also at the same time a little scared because this is my job, this is my career, and you have to really sit down and think about, is it worth it? And I decided it was. But at the same time, I also know that it's really easy to make someone disappear. I'm not that, as you guys saw in CPAC, I'm not that big. I'm like 5'2". I'm a little girl basically, and one little car
But
accident.
but you have a big dog. You have a big dog inside of you. So it's not the size of the dog; it's the size of the fight in the dog. So
Yeah.
clearly, you have a fight in you. Can you describe this video that you've posted? And
Yeah.
it seems like you've been through hell to kind of report the truth to the public. And this video that I've just seen, it kind of doesn't seem like. Can you walk us through this video and what you've posted and what it means to you?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys saw what I just posted, but I'll just read it to you guys. I was surprised to see what Project Veritas just posted, since Pamela Brown, she was the executive producer, called me a false insider and stupid right after CPAC. I guess the journalistic principle of protecting your sources went straight out the window the moment they ousted James O'Keefe. Now, this voice recording, thank you to the source who sent this to me. I'm not going to say who it was, but you are an angel, whoever you are. It's just the executive producer. This is the one lady who met me at the airport in Nashville and was telling me how proud she was of me, and that I'm a national hero and that they're going to stand by me no matter what. And in this video, she's calling me a false insider, and then she says, "Stupid Debbie," ha 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 ha, gives a little witch laugh at the end. And it's kind of weird because she called me a hero at the airport, but now
Wow.
I'm stupid now. So, I mean, okay, I guess I guess I'm stupid, and it's just I really I'm not a fan of two-faced people. I'm more of I'd rather you be a jerk, but be a jerk to my face. I respect that. You don't like me. You think I'm stupid. Say it to my face. It's fine. I'll get over it. Whatever. I'll pray for you. Whatever.
Debbie, this is
But
unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
yeah, yeah. So, I just feel so
We
betrayed.
have breaking news here on this. Sorry, keep going.
No, no, no. You're good. You're good, James. Yeah. I just this type of behavior just scares whistleblowers away, and we can't have that. We're trying to change the world here. We're trying to stand up to these big corporations. You do not betray your your army. You don't do that. If you're a commander, you protect your army, you protect your soldiers. If anything, you're at the front of the line fighting and making sure that your soldiers are safe. We're supposed to be standing up against evil. You're not supposed to act evil towards your your soldiers. You can't do that. You really can't do that.
I don't know, Benny, ALX, are you still on? Your reaction?
Yeah, this is like absolutely nuts. I don't know if maybe Debbie, you could do like a sort of like a video on this, just like outlining the entire situation or like how open you are to that, but it would go viral, definitely. And, I believe more people need to hear what's happening because that's insane.
Yeah, I've definitely thought about that. Unfortunately, I did not go to school for video production or anything, but if any listeners out there want to help me out and help produce a
Well,
video, I would be more than happy.
in the spirit of OMG, which is O'Keefe Media Group, I could tell you that we would be willing to provide you a camera until I think the last part of that story was unbelievable. As someone who was ousted out of an media corporation I founded immediately after the Pfizer story, what you just broke on Elon Musk's Twitter tonight is truly extraordinary. Um, can you just say that again? I'm hearing this for the first time. The part about you went to CPAC and a producer told you you're a hero. Can you just tell me what happened again?
Yeah,
Say that again.
so the day we were supposed to do an interview, James, I was greeted at the airport by this executive producer who, in the video that I tweeted, calls me a false insider and stupid. She calls me stupid Debbie. And then immediately after CPAC, these are the words she calls me. When in my face, she called me a hero and thanked me and shook my hand. So, yeah, that's the
And you
gratitude
are,
I take.
and
And
we're
then, yeah,
speaking with Debbie Bernal, the Pfizer insider, who was one of two people. I know the other person who did that, but that person did not go public. You did go public. Um, for all we know, the other person is still inside Pfizer, um, much like the ABC News insider who never went public, who provided us the Epstein footage. And we're listening to Debbie Bernal live on Elon Musk's platform, telling us that the executive producer um, told her that she is a hero, and then privately called her a, what were the words she used to describe? Is this an audio you have of this?
yeah, it's an audio of her just calling me a false insider and calling me stupid. I am stupid Debbie under her imagination, I guess. I don't know.
How'd that make you feel when someone says that about you? When she said
Uh,
that, because this is the person that was trying to interview you with me in Nashville.
yeah. Um, it really felt like Judas just kissed me on the cheek and then sold me to the Romans. That's kind of that's exactly how I feel actually.
So we have the government against you. We have the pharmaceutical companies stalking you and harassing you. You feel like your life is threatened. And you have the producer for a news organization calling you a hero in public and then calling you a quote false insider and quote stupid in private.
Yeah,
It's pretty
that
lonely, isn't it?
yeah, it's been really tough, James. I don't really know what to do. It's been very lonely. Luckily, I've been receiving, some support from you guys. I get messages every day, and those
And you
mean a
have a
lot
Give
to
Send
me.
Go. You have a Give Send Go page, right?
I do have a Give Send Go.
So what
And if you guys would like to participate in supporting Debbie, you can still go to that Give Send Go page today,
I'm gonna
givesendgo.com/Pfizer.
RC, I'm gonna go ahead and pin that Give Send Go page to the top of my Twitter profile right now again, so it's easy. All you got to do is go to the top of my Twitter page, guys, right now, and you'll see brave Pfizer whistleblower went public on stage. And Debbie, do you think the news organization that shared the documents without your consent today will pin your Give Send Go page?
No, not at all. Even though they promised me, they said if you lose your job, we'll take care of the bills, we'll take care of your mortgage, we'll make sure your old parents are still, fine and taken care of. Don't worry, we'll take care of you. And then immediately they just tell me they kick me to the curb and then betray me. So,
Well,
and
we're
you know
willing to
what?
help you. We're willing to help you. We've just pinned your Give Send Go. I encourage. There's 2,600 people here. If you guys could just offer $10 to Debbie, um, do it for what she's been through. She's a brave woman. She may be diminutive at 5'2", but she's got the heart of a lion. And I can tell you that a lot of people reached out to O'Keefe Media Group, OMG, O'Keefe Tips the Proton Mail, just like her, inspired by her. And I think we got to create a citizen journalism. We need it.
Yeah.
We need to decentralize everything. And there's probably people from Pfizer listening to this right now. I'm sure they are listening
Yeah, and
to.
I just want to tell all the people there that are working in big pharma, big tech, the media, a three-letter agency, please, 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 please stand up. There are people that you can trust, and James is one of them. Yes, you will lose your job. Yes, you probably will never find a job in your career field ever again. But I promise you that there are heroes out there that will want you to work for them and will want to support you. And at the end of the day, you're doing this to fight the good fight. You are doing this for the world.
Debbie, here's an idea as in the spirit of OMG, O'Keefe Media Group. What if you, as a citizen journalist, I know that you're a former Pfizer, as a citizen journalist, reached out to that person who called you fake and called you names? What if you reached out to her for comment? What if you reached out to that producer and asked her for her comment? You're a journalist now. You're a citizen journalist. What if you did that? What do you say?
Uh, yeah, I don't know what she would say, honestly, but yeah, maybe if she could just, say it to my face, and
Yeah, I
I
mean,
just, yeah.
you posted a tweet there of what you posted. What if you reached out to her for comment? This
Yeah,
movement,
yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, we are trying to empower the citizens to do the journalism. Every one of you can be a journalist. It's not a question of whether you can do it. It's a question of will you do it? Because you can do it. And the way it works is you have a recording of someone saying something. I think Debbie posted a recording literally this evening. Um, Debbie, it wouldn't be a bad idea to call her up and say, "Hey, what is your comment about this?" That's what journalists do, and I just think it's a good idea. I mean, wouldn't we all love to know what she would say?
Yeah, and I know people from Project Veritas are listening in right now just because I have a few following them. You know, they just requested to follow me like about an hour ago, so I know they're listening. So yeah, maybe if you could just help Pamela to hop on and maybe just tell me what she thinks of me, and if she wants to apologize, that would mean a lot to me. But if she doesn't, that's fine. It's fine. I
I
guess I can
was
turn the other cheek.
I was going to say that this could well be something that was said in the heat of the moment, and there may be an apology forthcoming. That's what I was thinking.
That's a good point, Jan. We all, if you look at any of us through a magnifying glass, people do make mistakes. They get emotional. They say things. So Jan's point is well taken. Maybe there's an explanation for what was said. But again, for those of you who are joining us, you're listening to Debbie Bernal, Pfizer whistleblower insider, telling her unbelievable story of her journey from a consultant with a pharmaceutical giant to being participating in the biggest story I've ever been involved in my life, to being targeted, fired, stalked, harassed, called a hero by some and called phony by the same, and releasing information tonight. Jan, I mean, so thank you, Debbie. And again, we've posted that to the top of the page. This is James O'Keefe with OMGO'KeefeMediaGroup.com. Benny, are you on? Benny Johnson, are you still there? I don't know if you're still in the car or.
Yo, what's up, James?
Just wanted to punt back to you and see your thoughts, and as we talk more about this citizen journalism revolution happening, and we got punted off earlier, so back to you.
Yeah, guys, Twitter Spaces is not perfect. Anyone will tell you. Sometimes you can't hear, sometimes you can't listen. It's hard to add speakers. Elon says he's working on it. Elon clearly loves these spaces and joins them often, so it'd be really neat to get Elon and James on the same Twitter space since they interact quite a bit online. We went through and noted that Elon really responds to your journalism quite a bit, James, especially when it includes former Twitter employees saying that he has Asperger's, which is something that James captured on camera in one of the all-time great clips. But what I would be interested in is Jan from the Epoch Times sort of giving a contrasting or countervailing opinion about where investigative journalism is heading, and what part James's style of investigation plays and how it is harmonious with what the Epoch Times does, which is also has some absolutely spectacular investigative journalism. Bombshell stuff. Jan, I see that you're a speaker, and I think people would be very interested in hearing from your certainly less renegade version of investigative journalism, but nonetheless crucially and culturally important.
That's thank you for the amazing intro, Benny. And it was I always think about your parents when I see you, because I know that they're big subscribers and so forth. So, listen. First of all, I spoke with James on the phone yesterday. I was trying to figure out what this crowdsourced journalism was really going to look like. He gave a comparison to Lyft or Uber or something, Uberizing or Lyftizing journalism, and I thought, well, all these people going to be compensated? And we got into this discussion that, frankly, a lot of people that are motivated truth tellers these days are frankly not actually that interested in compensation per se. It's the truth telling itself which is the reward, because we live in this bizarre world that's really bereft of interest in truth. It's kind of unbelievable. I still find myself kind of shocked by this, because I've always had this sense that human beings, we have this intrinsic desire for the truth and truth telling. I like to believe that exists enough, and that's the reason why Epoch Times is growing in terms of our subscribers and so forth. But we're just always faced with this, what I call the megaphone, which is this, large mechanism that manufactures the perception of consensus and that kind of convinces some portion of us. And I don't actually think this is necessarily bad or somehow morally problematic people, that perceived consensus is actually the truth and almost reality. And this is just this is just a bizarre world we're living in. I think what James is proposing, and he also said very clearly that this is something that he's in the process of figuring out. And of course, it's something. This is very much uncharted territory. Um, I think this holds incredible promise. And the other thing that I mentioned to him is that it actually reminds me a bit of how we. So, for those of you that aren't familiar with Epoch Times, we were actually founded by Chinese Americans back in 2000 as a response to Chinese Communist Party, what you would call, I don't even like using the word disinformation anymore, but basically propaganda. We were this in 1999, the Chinese regime picked its newest enemy, which was this Falun Gong spiritual movement, where there were, 1 in 13 Chinese were doing this meditation. It was bigger than the Chinese Communist Party, and they basically outlawed it, targeted it for quote, eradication, in the words of the dictator, and fomented a massive propaganda campaign using the entire state apparatus, to basically demonize these people straight out of 1930s Germany, right? Basically saying what the Nazis tried to do to the Jews in terms of propaganda, saying these people are evil. And anyway, and so in response, our founders were here in America. Hey, we're in a free country. We could actually, some of them had been involved in the student movement in '89. They thought we can actually talk about this. We can tell the truth. And this little website they founded in Atlanta became massive, and this all started in Chinese language, and then became something much bigger, and eventually the English eclipsed. We're actually in 22 languages. But I guess what's really relevant to today is we've kept cultivating all these citizen contact journalists in China. Like, we can't, all our official journalists that we had in China were basically given massive jail time sentences. One of them just got out a few years ago. Was the editor. Many of them actually lost their lives because of the Chinese Communist Party. So we had to kind of go underground, and we've cultivated all sorts of amazing sources. Some of them, very high level in the government, that feed us all sorts of really valuable information. And it's some of the reasons why we've been able to kind of understand what was going on inside the Communist Party, without. So in a way, it just dawned on me as I was speaking to James today that we've kind of been doing a bit of this model, except mainly through the China side. In the U.S., we've been doing much more of a traditional version, except that these days the
So
traditional version of journalism is kind of forgotten, or the truth-seeking version of journalism is a bit forgotten. So you're
so
gonna say something?
yeah, Jan, you're we were talking today, and you mentioned, it might be counterintuitive, but you said something interesting just now. You said people might be willing to do this sort of journalism for free, because they seek the truth. It's a more valuable reward for them. Could you speak more about that in the context of what we're building over at OMG, O'KeefeMediaGroup.com, with the subscriptions? And I've certainly seen thousands of people message me. They're basically buying the cameras on their own. They're going to Amazon right now, and they're buying $40 cameras. What do you think about that? Is that a surprise to you? Is that consistent with what you've done in China? Like, just tell us, is that a new
Well,
phenomenon?
I can tell you that, as far as I'm aware of it, all the sources that we have in China are unpaid sources. They're people who do it, and many of them actually, especially during COVID, reporting on, some of the zero COVID policy and so forth, getting that information out. Some of them were actually, were in fact incarcerated, picked up, and so forth. It's of course